Who's good? Potato Spin Leak here, and whenever I was talking about open world games, it suddenly struck me that I hardly play linear games anymore. It's it's tedious. I don't like how they've been doing them. Prime example right here, Devil May Cry 5. Hope that game's still okay. Maybe I'll want to pop into it later, but the big issue is the amount of cutscenes and dialogue in the games themselves. It's become a storytelling tool as opposed to a reward, and that's how it used to feel whenever I was playing something like Prince of Persia. Okay, it was a reward. You play a certain amount of the game, and next thing you know, hey, sit back, watch a cutscene. It's gonna be cool. Enjoy it. But in games like that in Star Ocean, you get locked into a long tutorial, and cutscenes come across too fucking frequently. It's one thing to sit down and play a game. It's another thing to have 15 minutes of gameplay broken up by 5-minute segments of cutscenes. It takes you out of the experience. You're hardly doing any work. You're really just watching it unfold. You might as well be watching a movie. You might as well be playing Heavy Rain or The Walking Dead or Man of Medan. That's when it starts falling apart. I want to get invested in the game. I want to have long hours of gameplay. I want to have the option to get involved with the cutscenes and get involved with the main story. But with linear games these days, it's less about the gameplay and more about the story. That's not a big issue if the story is good enough. Final Fantasy was an open world game, but it's highly linear. And I mean, Final Fantasy 15. Where you at? Where you at? Where you at? Where you at? A little punk bitch. Seriously, where the fuck? You son of a... It's fighting me. It wants to get its nuts chopped. Fucking excellent game, and it had some lengthy cutscenes, but the story was good enough to actually justify it. It vindicated it. It was worthwhile, and it's got a big map. It's segmentally locked, but yeah, no, it's still a highly linear game. There's stuff that you can distract yourself from the main story with, but it's a pretty fucking straight line. There's no doubt about that. It used to be that whenever you were playing a more linear title, like let's say the first Resident Evil game, people will go, "Oh, it's an open." No, it's not. There's a specific path you have to follow to unlock everything. It's a linear game. It used to be, here's your introduction cutscene. Here's a brief tutorial. And instead of locking you into the tutorial, they incorporate it with the gameplay itself. So you would be able to feel out the controls. It would give you a brief explanation whenever you were using something instead of just saying, hey, you can't use this ability until this prompt is unlocked. It used to be, hey, here you are. Here's all the controls open. Get from point A to point B. And now we'll explain some minor details you might not know about. That was great. I love the fuck out of that. I fucks with that. And after that, it was pretty much just, get out there, kid. And every now and then you'd encounter a cutscene that's just, oh, good, I completed something. It's about fucking time. But these days, in the case of Resident Evil 2 Remake, there was a cutscene every couple of minutes. It wasn't every milestone, it was every couple of minutes. There would be cutscenes to break all this small shit up. And they would drag on for a good long while. And there's nothing more infuriating than having somewhere to be, having something to do, thinking you're just going to hop on for 5 minutes, and there's a 15-minute cutscene they have to sit through. Next thing you know, you're late for work. Not a fan. Gonna sip some coffee. Personally, I feel like cutscenes really went from being a reward for your investment in the game to being a hurdle that you have to jump over. You have to space it out. You have to sit through the cutscenes, and it's just like, come on, please, let me go. Let me do this thing. I just want to do this thing. Fucking let me do it. Nah. Now, there are some linear games that I fucking love. An example be Code Vein. Who the fuck said you can do that? Who the fuck are you anyway? Oh! Bitch bounced off the ceiling. Code Vein was fucking fantastic. Yeah, you can say it's open world. No. This bitch is linear as fuck. There is a specific order to go in. Sure, you can go to specific areas, regardless of whether or not you're ready. But still, there's progression. There is an order things need to be done in. Regardless of open segments of the map, there are still things you gotta do. There's a specific way to enter them. And there's a specific order that you're probably gonna attack them in at every time. In this game, as anime styled as it is, holy shit! It did a better job of spacing out the cutscenes than fucking than most Metal Gear games. That's another thing. It's a great story, great animation, but Jesus fucking Christ, I don't want to sit in a cutscene for half a fucking hour. I went to try out that game. 45 minutes in, it had been nothing but cutscenes. I'm pretty sure that's a stream. I'm pretty sure I streamed that shit. Literally. Just the cutscenes. I've bone picked with a lot of linear games these days. You gotta have a game. You're making a game, not a movie. You gotta allow some flexibility for the player. You have to make sure that the player's not going to sit there idly staring at the screen, and make sure that they're fully invested in what they're going to be doing. Sure, you can sit back, you can play the game, you can enjoy it. But at the same time, where's the game if all you got to be doing is watching the characters do shit themselves? Now, that's one of the reasons I really love Resident Evil 4, and I appreciate Resident Evil 5 and Resident Evil 6. The cutscenes are frequent, but they're brief. And it's usually at the beginning of a chapter and at the end. So you pick up where you left off, or maybe you don't. Most of the time, it's usually just at the end of the chapter, unless there's something else going on. So you complete it, there's your reward. It's going to bridge to the next chapter, it's going to tell you a little bit about the story, as opposed to just, you took 5 steps, let's go ahead and explain this entire backstory. I don't care. I don't give a flying fuck. Let me play the game. How many games have I thrown over the course of this video? 4? There they go again. This is something that bugs me. It bugs me more than open world games. Open world games I still love. My issue is usually travel time. This is that there's not enough gameplay between the cutscenes. They're not spaced out. They're extended to the point where it's almost boring to watch. Okay, yeah, no, there's a badass fight scene. When's it gonna stop? Michael Bay do this? Like, what world am I in? Video games are progressively becoming less games and more cinematic experiences. It's a nightmare. It's a real nightmare. The worst part is whenever you're actually locked into the cutscenes. There's no way to skip. There's no way to jump over. As much as I love Borderlands 3, I'm not going to throw this one. As much as I love Borderlands 3, I wish they would let me skip the fucking cutscenes. I've seen them 100 times, man. There's no reason that every time I make a new character, I should have to sit through the cutscenes. There's no reason I have to sit through that fucking 5-7 minute intro every time I play the game. Just have the option to skip. It boosts replayability, and it lets people cut through the shift they're just interested in the game. No reason I should see Claptrap stuck to the fucking front of Sanctuary indefinitely for spans of 8 minutes at a time every time I'm trying to do a run. Maybe I just want to, try a new class. Marcus, shut up! Next thing you know, I'm done. I don't want to play. Marcus was talking, I'm rushing through the tutorial, I've seen like 7 cutscenes in the last half hour. I'm sick of it. I'm ready to get off and watch Criminal Minds or House of Cards or some shit. Because if all I'm going to be doing is sitting there fucking watching shit, why not? Might as well make it something completely and totally interesting instead of segments of a story. No one's wanting to flesh out their fucking games anymore. Bugs the hell out of me. Losing my goddamn mind. I'm not throwing it. I'm going to set it down carefully on a pillow. That's what I'm going to do. I'll probably talk about this game again if I decide to do a video on strategy games. But XCOM 2 is an excellent example of how I think cutscenes should be used. That and Resident Evil 4 and 5, and Final Fantasy 15. Final Fantasy 15 has long cutscenes, but it's a fully investing story because the dialogue continues throughout the gameplay. And the gameplay influences the cutscenes. You bond with everything around you. And it becomes this fantastic world instead of just saying, march from point A to point B. Oh, here you go, little pictures of doodles. No. No, no, no. Resident Evil 4 and 5, beginning and end of a chapter. It's segmented up. You have the start of a sentence, you have the end of the sentence. That's fine by me. Because it's going to be so brief that it gives you enough story to invest you. It lets you rest after the last 17 minutes of running around, guns blazing, screaming your fucking head off. And it lets you just relax. You get to see what you did, you get to see the end effect, and it says, hey, here's a pause in it, you can stop, you can keep going. The XCOM 2, it was a fucking reward. Period. There are no two ways about it. They have a cutscene at the beginning of the game and the end of the game. And in between, there are events that can trigger to just say, hey, here's what's going on. Makes you feel in control. Makes you feel like you've achieved something whenever you see one, as opposed to, here's their obligation. I like that shit. I like working towards something. I like being able to sit back and look at what I did. I like being able to get fully invested in a story. I want to fucking be mad. I want to cry. I want to feel like I've accomplished something. But whenever you just spoon feed me little cute bits and bobs and text dialogue that spans for 40 fucking minutes of sitting there tapping X. Done. 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 Whenever I can't skip shit I've seen before. Okay, right about now, stab, dead. Okay, bye, Aerith. Come on. Yeah, this is an entertainment industry that isn't solely based on the story told. It is an industry where the people who use your product can develop their own. Regardless of what the title is, whether it's open world, whether it's survival, whether it's a linear story. The player is going to influence it. Give them the time to do it. Don't just sit there and hold their fucking hand. It's the only reason that I don't play most linear titles anymore, because instead of being the character, instead of being who I am as the gamer and throwing myself into this world, I'm getting spoon-fed details and have to sit back and watch as opposed to be. Anyway, that's my thoughts, my unorganized thoughts on linear gameplay. Like, comment, subscribe, keep on keeping on. I don't know, maybe I'll talk about segmented gameplay or some shit. This is just something that crawled up my ass, so hopefully it fell out in the course of me yelling. Keep on keeping on.